Nope, gonna go ahead and just ban that one away. Red side still gonna be starting off the same there with that Zac ban, and kind of just burning right through these on the Samsung side of things. Rumble still gonna be banned away from Marin. Major respect being shown to him, but do we see the Maokai? Or do we see it picked up, perhaps, by Cuvee?
I think opening it with a ban is a possibility on blue, but not a guarantee. The Braum might actually take priority there. We'll talk about that in a moment. Kallista's going to be a really interesting one to track, Kilios, because Ruler played it to success in the series against KT. They got almost perfect game by KT against the Kallista. They tried to run the Tristana that Prey and other people love into the matchup, and Ruler, honestly, looked pretty woeful on the pick. So I think Kallista's going to be a thorn in their side, or a guaranteed first pick. As we talked about Samsung having that lower priority on the lease, that's why that's the final ban on blue, even though it's been basically first pick in every other series.
All right, so taking that one off the board, we'll see which way Ambition wants to go. Still one of those players that doesn't mind bringing out the Gragas jungle, so perhaps we could see that as a follow-up, but for now, it's just going to be that first pick, Maokai.
And Marin was so close. He was like, it was going to be mine, but
Nope.
Cuvee was another one of our resident Maokais. I actually criticized him for, in spring season, playing Maokai pretty far out of meta as the meta started to shift by the end of spring. Most played was Maokai for the spring season, so...
Well, guess what?
Contested pick Maokai, that's where we are.
It's thrusted right back into the center of the meta, Papa Smithy. So Cuvee and Marin can both be happy, but, ooh, do we get to see this perhaps? The Tristana's already locked in here for Kramer in the bottom side of the map, but you get the hover over the Cho'Gath. He's just teasing us now. He's messing with Cloud Templar over there.
Beyond as well,
Yeah.
losing on the Amumu recently. If you look at solo queues, Spirit has been playing almost entirely Cho'Gath recently. 17 games of Cho'Gath in the past week, so expected to be a jungle pick, but it fits Marin's pool as well, so it could definitely be a top lane flex as well. Afreeca, in basically every meta, love to go for the double flex where they'll take, say, Gragas Cho'Gath and deny both two strong junglers and a top lane. I'm not going to do that here, but I think in the following weeks, they'll be revisiting that strategy.
Well, now just going to go back to the tried and true ADC.
It could just be
for
Gragas or Braum as well and go epically standard for Samsung Galaxy. Talia also, very high priority for both mid laners.
Oh, but it's actually going to be the Zyra. So classic comfort here for Core JJ and Ruler.
I think the theory here is that because Tristana has those all-in options, going for super lane power in the Zyra stops the Tristana from going for the aggressive rocket jumps.
He's just been itching his nose this whole time.
I like what you're focused on. I'm focused on the pick and bans. You're focused on the nose itching.
I'm focused on another picking that's going on right now.
Well, speaking of pick, a pick CC support in the Thresh could be locked in for Tucson.
And it will be, so they go ahead and snatch that one up.
Some weird quirks of the draft against KT, where KT were banning Thresh against Core JJ, even though he's played a single game, a loss on Thresh in the summer season. Obviously, he has played it before, but hasn't been big for him, so he's probably happy to take the Thresh matchup. That's pretty common. Can go both ways. Usually, Zyra is a squishy target to be initiated on, but the plants can certainly ruin Thresh's day. So for now, pretty standard stuff. Expected to be jungle on the side of Afreeca and top lane on the side of Samsung, but also the flexibility of Cho'Gath and Maokai to go top lane as well. So looking at the bans, clearly Samsung have done their solo queue research and they ban away the Renekton from Marin.
Well, nothing too shocking there. Cassiopeia as well by Afreeca. They know that Crown has been trying this one out more and more. Picked up the game 1 win versus KT with the Cassiopeia, then did lose with it in Game 3, which I think ruins his record that he was establishing there this season. But Rek'Sai going to be the next ban, so getting rid of that comfort there from Ambition.
Yeah,
Like
scouting reports seem to be pretty good from both sides. They seem to have called where they expect the Maokai and the Cho'Gath to be going. Galio has been pretty frequently picked into success this week, so will be banned away. When it comes to blind pick mid laners, we've got Corki and Lucian. We have Orianna as well.
Ooh.
As an answering pick, they do actually take the Gnar into Maokai. This was the matchup that innovated the famous Black Cleaver into Frozen Mallet build. Marin did not have a happy time on Gnar, but that was about Spirit donating double buffs to the enemy laner, the Renekton on the day, rather than necessarily Marin's failings. Famous pick for him, and, well, time to start flexing.
Okay. Well, we don't know what's going on anymore. J4 locked in here for Samsung, so could be jungle, could be top lane. Who knows? And with the Talia available, it's actually going to be the Orianna coming out here for Crown.
I think Crown is also playing his own mind games because he's had Taliyah open and gone for Cassiopeia and Orianna over Taliyah pretty consistently, despite there being no real change apart from more strong tanks to soak up the damage from Taliyah. Still think Taliyah's global nature and also the Weaver's Wall is powerful, but maybe just trying to move away from that pick and just practice other stuff. As we talked about the strong champions in the meta available, it was really going to be about Lucian, Orianna, and Corki. We're going to predictably see Orianna versus Corki in the mid lane, as Kuro has been favoring the Corki recently.
All right, well, 20 seconds is going to be the cutoff for these trades here on the side of Samsung. We'll see where that J4 and that Maokai are going to end up. Afreeca Freecs with an R coming through is a lot more straightforward. So Cho'Gath jungle will be coming through here for Spirit. For now, Samsung showing ambition on the Jarvan out of the jungle.
Other regions have really preferred the jungle Maokai. We wait to 20 seconds. It will be the top lane Maokai, so we're going with our first instinct. Jungle Jarvan from Ambition is something we've seen successfully performed by Malrang and other junglers, but certainly being a bit of an edge of the meta pick. See how much DPS will come in the middle. If it just will be Cinderhulk into full-on engage. Clean answer to backline carries, though, so he'll be wanting to do his best anti-carry job there. But still going to see the influence of 714 more in Game 1 than perhaps we will in other series, for example, Series 2 today.
It's going to be interesting to see how they approach trying to lock down Kramer. Going to be very elusive with this Tristana. Can leap out of the Cataclysm, can take, you know, the Maokai for a ride with that Twisted Advance, drag him into the back lines, and just all focus down that tank. So we'll see how they want to go ahead and handle Kramer. They can get a lead in that bottom lane early. It'd be crucial here for Samsung. Let's go ahead and get ready to load up for our first game. We have a hype day of games here today, starting off with Samsung versus Afreeca Freecs. So let's go ahead and dive right into it. All right, well, we've got a pretty full audience here on this lovely Thursday afternoon.
It was actually quite pleasant weather for once. It's been very hot recently, but today it's nice and cool, so maybe some people enjoying the outside. But I imagine over the course of this series, we will fill up. Both these teams super popular. Game 1 has gone largely as expected. Maokai denied away from Afreeca, but we get to see the return of Marin on his famous Gnar pick. One of the reasons why I was so optimistic about Afreeca on 714 is that the skill cap is no longer the solo kills in the top lane Achilles. It's about the teleports. So tank teleports. We've always said don't watch the tank top lane battle observer. Show us the teleports. And Marin is perhaps the best user of teleport we've seen in the history of League of Legends. So the Gnar is going to be more about the split pushing. But the moment he gets the Maokai and the other tanks, we know what's up.
Yeah, he's been absolutely excellent about it. So seeing him juggle that Rage Bar to get the transformations to have maximum impact is going to be very nice to see. If he can pull it off, and you know, if he doesn't, then we get to laugh at him, I guess. So we'll see what happens. For now, Tucson and Kuro pushing in rather aggressively.
I mean, speaking of aggressive pushing, I think the draft from Afreeca really sets them up for that as well. Now we'll have lane pressure on the Maokai for the majority of the laning phase. Corki against Orianna early especially does just fine, and a lot of options for pushing for a Tristana as well. So the early pressure lead may be there for Samsung, and the only real good news story for Samsung is that they do have a jungler who from level 2 onwards can punish overextensions. So seeing Ambition first time this season on the Jarvan jungle, his pathing is kind of hit or miss, we have to say, Achilles. So going to be fun to see how he pulls it off on this legacy pick.
It's just interesting to see the J4 come out of the jungle because we've only had it a handful of times. You mentioned Malrang bringing that out, but he's also the guy that brought out the Jace jungle during the promotion tournament. So it's not as crazy from him, but seeing a more standard jungler such as Ambition pick this up, where it's been so popular in the top lane, is just intriguing to see. Tucson trying to get the prediction there on the juke, but Core JJ having none of that.
And we talked about Spirit and Afreeca's love of drafting 2 flex jungle top lane picks. He's played 2 games of the jungle Jarvan as well. So it's been an edge meta pick, but certainly a consideration. both the carries in this game are a lot more slippery than the Varises of the world, so going to be more difficult for Ambition to make things happen in the team fights, but early game.
Yeah, he's just going to be charging down here. The leap's already through, but the root comes down onto Tucson, flashes away.
Nice flay.
And the flay, yeah, keeps himself alive, so just going to be the one summoner spell used, so flash for flash.
Yeah, trade of flashes there. Really nice from Tucson, who has been the big improver, you'd have to say. He's had a really good summer season in general.
Oh, it's been exponential from the start.
His mechanics, if players didn't track him, he was actually on, previously the Incredible Miracle, I guess they would be the Longzhou organization now, was a support and a jungler at different times. But his mechanics were always his strong suit. Kept up his mechanics when he had a year off in solo queue. People thought he was going to be retired, but came back into the Afreeca lineup as the support. And sure, Spring was rough. As a 2v2 lane, it'd be Kramer not dying and Tucson making mistakes. Cho'Gath bot lane, but not going to go wide. But this season's kind of all really coming together at once. He's been smart in decision-making. Their vision control has been good. And just the mechanics recently have been one of the best of any supports we've seen in terms of play in the last month or so.
Been really solid from him. Missing out on these early hooks, trying to set up for that gank there for Spirit, but he's fine. He goes back to base. Just going to be starting things off with that Tracker's Knife. So he can just jump right back into the jungle and keep grinding away. Double root coming down. Tucson taking quite a lot of damage.
No flash, remember.
Thrown in. The piercing arrow will find it. Like you said, flash had already been used, and he takes the ignite. Doesn't have to exhaust to try to mitigate the damage here in this bottom lane.
Such a lose-lose scenario because Kramer can't control the wave as it pushed in. Neither of them had a trinket ward, so at some point they had to approach the brush, and that meant the death of Thresh.
Right after we were singing him some praises, Tucson just giving up that first blood. So Samsung going to start things off with a nice early lead. As Kramer will get pushed under turrets. Going to get the majority of this back, but still already finds himself in a pretty decent deficit. So that pressure that Core JJ and Ruler have been able to apply is certainly costing them. They want to fast track this Tristana, get those items out as quickly as possible.
It shows why the trade of flash for a laner versus a jungler is different, is the jungle can dip into the jungle, and if you don't have a coordinated push set up, much more difficult to actually punish the flash being down, whereas in that case, they were either going to lose multiple minion waves or check a brush, and last time they did that, heavily punished. So good stuff from Samsung, and Roll on Core JJ picked for lane, got first blood. So far, so good for Samsung Galaxy.
Well, Core JJ on the roam, going to be running up here towards this mid side. Kuro is already cheating his way up through the river, so he will remain safe, doesn't have to use the flash. He's got the TP to get back into lane rather quickly, so overall won't be too heavily punished.
Is it cull time for Marin? He started Doran's shield, so that was a surprising amount of respect by Marin.
The nice cull Gnar build.
I mean, it is Marin.
Well, it's going to be a phage.
Much more about control than we're used to as bot lane.
Yeah, point blank hook here onto Ruler, but Ambition's nearby. Tucson is still without that flash, and they'll just go ahead and punish him. Second kill into the bottom lane, second kill onto the Varus, as Ambition picks up that assist. So Samsung looking pretty good here to start things off.
You were talking about the caster curse. That was just Afreeca not being able to put down vision, going on, trying to play a gank to get back into lane, but the gank just exacerbates things.
Oh, okay.
Spirit loses out on the Rift Scuttler as well. Awkward.
It's just piling up now.
It's piling up around the bot lane, that's for sure.
Oh, man. All right, well, we have to go back. Tucson is bad, and maybe now he'll do okay.
Look, we don't judge people on 5 minutes of one game, but yes, absolutely, Tucson is written off. Nothing to salvage there.
Replace him. Find a new support. Oh,
the awkward point is that all Cho'Gath can really do is follow up a gank. He's one of the worst at opening up ganks. Sure, if he's sitting in control ward, he can do great stuff, but when it comes to jungle Cho'Gath, you need CC in the lane, and that's why Tucson has tried to get back lane control so they can set up one of these Cho'Gath ganks. In these scenarios, though, it just looks sad.
Yeah, it's pretty sad. But at least Kramer, kind of bringing that CS back. He's going to be falling a little bit further behind, but he's not as far off as you might have thought.
And it invalidates some of the draft here from Afreeca, which was about the winning lanes in top and mid and the potential for a pressure lane bottom, but that potential went out the window when Tucson was taken down twice during his flash duration. If they could have just played around bot lane as mid lane and top inevitably would win in the matchups early, that would have been the dream for Afreeca and turn onto a free Drake around the 8-minute mark when the ultimate is up from the jungler and Cho'Gath can just nom it away. But for now, playing around the bot side is a bit of a losing scenario.
See how many stacks you can get to by the end of this game.
These are the sort of games why Prey famously said he thought Tristana was a bad champion, because when you're ahead as Tristana, you're taking pot shots, explosive charges, exploding on the enemy turret, feels great, but when you're behind, you can't freeze. In this case, your support has been very well answered. Really hard for Tristana to do much without help, and Cho'Gath really doesn't want to enter the bot side of the map.
Yeah. I mean, right now, Spirit has been acting like he doesn't really want to enter any side of the map. He hasn't been able to find an avenue of approach to get any ganks off.
Well,
just a bit too safe, and I mean, the Maokai in the top lane going to be rather tanky to try to take down. The Smart can do a lot of chip damage early on with the hyper procs. So kill pressure there, just not really existent. You see the Cho'Gath walk in the bottom side. Janet Corruption comes out.
I mean, he's trying to enter the one lane that has CC. You know, Corki, not going to be fantastic for Cho to gank. Marin, sure, situationally can happen, but Marin's probably best just on an island, auto-attacking the Maokai down, trying to get turret damage. So at the end of the day, bot lane was his happiest gank to spot to gank, sorry. And as a backup, if you get the bot lane gank off, Cho'Gath fantastic at securing the Drake. Because bot lane is losing so heavily, he can do neither, and that's why he's just kind of awkwardly farming and playing very defensively.
Yeah. So, I mean, they kind of doubled down. They have the Cho'Gath that can't enter to do anything, and they have this Tristana who's going to get caught out, tries to make it over to that Dark Passage, will be able to do so, and will not die. Down below 10 HP there was Kramer.
That last caster auto attack only just registered. So important that he had some healing going. Will just about live, backing now.
He's trying to make it out of here. Ambition wrapping around from behind is spotted out by the wards. Just going to throw one into the brush. Does he want to try to clear this one? Tucson throwing out the hook, finds the death sentence. Pop-up comes through here from Spirit. But there's still just no damage really to threaten him. And Spirit's going to be the one kind of taking the brunt of the damage there in that exchange. He goes down to half, and Ambition's just going to go ahead for a little bit of a walk. There's nothing in this lower half of the jungle for him to take away, but he can still establish vision control.
And Kramer's had enough of this stupid laning phase where he keeps getting punished. He's going to go top lane, try to fast push down the turret with the Gnawa, maybe even gank. We saw some weird level 1 shenanigans by BBQ yesterday. I take advantage of the Tristana all-ins. Another 80 carries who can all-in. She's certainly probably the best at just solo manufacturing some sort of all-in or turret push.
You see the swap up to the top side here as they try to maybe bait Cuvée forward. Kramer sitting out of vision as Marin gets ready to transform.
And being very suspiciously aggressive.
Yeah, Cuvée sees this, and it's like, okay, I'm just going to go ahead and peel back. So now we'll be spotting out this Tristana. And it's a bit too late for Ruler and Core JJ to react. They're already down in the bottom side of the map. So Cuvée maybe just having to suffer through this 1v2 for a while.
I mean, the vision line also, there's double control ward in the bot side. The enemy blue side jungle is completely warded. Why would you ever, as a strong 2v2 laning duo, want to trade to the top side? Sure, you're winning the 2v2, but Cuvée does a lot better with no vision than the duo lane will do. They're still going to try and punish Cuvée, but it's a Maokai.
All right, well, we'll see how this one goes. Kuro is nearby as well. The box comes down. Hook not going to connect. He gets popped up by the Rupture, but Ambition has arrived. And that should just be the end of that. Meanwhile, Samsung down the bottom side of the map. There's not a damn thing Marin can do. He's going to lose out on that turret. So first brick goes over to Samsung. They now have a 2,500 gold lead.
Ultimate actually used. There's the Nature's Grasp.
Yeah, it is coming through. Meanwhile, Marin getting caught out on the bottom side. Exhaust coming down. He tries to kite back. Flash forward here from Ruler. And one more auto attack finishes off the Gnar. 3-0 for Ruler. Has all of the kills for Samsung.
And now it does feel a bit quintessentially spring where the bot lane's woes have kind of just spread over to Marin, who falls in the bot lane, trading flashes with basically everyone on the side of Samsung. It's what can happen sometimes. Ruler and Core JJ are one of our best laning duos. They've been able to punish the bot lane to the extent where now Marin is starting to fall behind in terms of tempo over the Maokai, even if it's not just CS at this moment. And speaking of Marin, teleports bot lane.
This is,
optimistic.
Yeah. Okay. Well, whatever. He was going down to the bot lane anyway, but still, trying to get the chase onto Ruler would have been a bit too crazy there to happen. We'll get a replay of this bottom lane fight since we're kind of flipping back and forth to the top side.
Core J didn't actually flash into grasping roots like you might have assumed. It was actually just because the ult registered first from Ruler. It's capitalized and ensured the Strangle Thorns are at least a trade of flashes. They take him down. Now Marin, no flash, will not be as adept at harassing down a Maokai.
I mean, no flash, no TP either, so if a fight breaks out elsewhere, he's not going to be able to join in. He won't have that flash Gnar potential. Get that big ultimate off and, you know, set up for those multi-stuns. In the meantime, Spirit is taking down that Mountain Drake slowly and surely as Ambition rotates up towards the top side, but he's going to get spotted out by the wards.
Ambition getting to play around strong lanes is when Samsung looks at their most powerful. Playing around the dual lane wherever possible, being confident that with the Cinderhulk he can turret dive pretty recklessly and grow leads, so that's why he's been playing top side. It's what's been afforded by the earlier gank and then the smart laning of Ruler and Core JJ. Ambition just enters lane. They want to try and punish Afreeca for sending multiple members bottom lane. Take that Drake.
Not finding much space to step up to the turret here, so just poking away with the piercing arrows for the most part is Ruler, but that visitation actually just kind of costing Ambition a lot of time that he could have otherwise spent in the jungle. We'll rotate back around as Core JJ looks to take away that ward.
Marin being nuisance, trying to create as much map pressure. He's taken red buffs many times before, sometimes punished, sometimes not.
See how quickly he can get it. Cuve's on the roam over.
Might have to gnar it.
Does he have to throw in the sapling? Oh, no, he's going to be able to get it, but now he's going to gnar away Cuve. Pops him with the blast cone. Throws him straight into Kuro's face. Shield comes down from Crown to just help mitigate some of that damage, and Cuve will be able to walk away.
Nice buff steal, but pretty small in the grand context of things. Samsung trying to chase away Afreeca from the top lane.
Oh, dear. Well, he's just going to stand right on top of that. Everything's whiffing, but Kramer, makes it out, leaps to the side, straight onto that dark passage. Tucson tries to go for the flashy play, flashes in, and that was not a pun that I meant to make, and goes for the death sentence, but he doesn't find anything.
Yeah, smart to heal also during the flight because the Thunderlord's puck was about to register from Core JJ. Hard to say, probably wouldn't have taken him down, but would have got him very low. The safety first coming through from Kramer, didn't have to use his flash. Nice side steps from him. But losing the turret is the objective that Samsung are focusing on. Looks like there's nothing Afreeca can do.
Yeah. So still going to be coming out on top here as they just say, okay, you know what, we didn't get the kill, we'll just take the turret, play the objective game, and move up towards about a 4,000 gold lead here at 15 minutes. So things are looking rather good for Samsung, and they're not finished yet. They want that Rift Herald. Spirit is in the vicinity. Shockwave going to whiff, actually, here for Crown.
It's because he had the package, so his movement speed, well, it seemed a little bit faster, although it could have just been the reality of the Shockwaves that have been going pixel perfect last week, and then this week they've been missing by about the same pixel. Yes, just about able to get out there as Kuro, who we really haven't spoken about the mid lane at all. It's been a farm fest.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, it's a Corki. And an Orianna, whatever. One pokes with the ball, the other pokes with the rockets, and everybody just hangs out.
And absolutely, it's uninteractive, but you have to kind of think further about what it all means, and it's the Trinity Force Corki is doing a lot of laning. The pressure lanes from Afreeca are largely having to overextend to get pressure, and the very standard engaged team fight. About as straightforward a draft from Samsung as can be, but also fitting the current meta, is ahead in objectives they shouldn't have been able to get to, because it should have been Ambition putting out fires as the Jarvan, not Cho'Gath putting out fires. Basically, the draft win conditions have kind of gone awry for Afreeca, and then result as bonus objectives to a team that already is going to have so much wombo engaged in the late game, and barring some significant macro outplays from Afreeca, it's going to be very difficult to punish Samsung as the game goes on.
Yeah. Let's see here. Even just with the Morellonomicon and the one needlessly large rod, Crown still does quite a bit of damage here to Kuro. So just the dissonance rolling through. Ruler just going to get a couple extra shots in with the help of the command and protect as they try to whittle down this turret. We're stopped on the Rift Herald. Didn't go for that one, but the hook now coming through for Core JJ. And that is just going to be the Zyra getting popped. Gets a little bit of damage down onto the core key, but it's not going to be nearly enough to kill him.
Yeah, first good news story for the side of Afreeca. There was a ward in the brush, so that time Tucson had the much easier hook to pull off. Only a single kill, though, and will not actually lead to anything other than preferential resets for item buys for Afreeca. Nothing to write home about, but also the first positive move of the game.
Static Shiv Rush here coming through for Kramer.
Really standard on Tristana at the moment. BF Sword or Pickaxe, depending on gold value, into Shiv for pushing options. Corki has decent pushing. Gnar has decent pushing, but one of Tristana's main weaknesses is the pushing, so Shiv First has become pretty much the go-to. Seems like it's going to be the on-hit, play the Ruin King build coming through from Ruler. In League of Tanks, you're not going to be going Essence Reaver as much. You kind of have to go for that Blade.
Yeah, the percentage damage is going to be so crucial. Now Samsung grouped up in the mid lane, going to be looking to knock down this final outer turret. We have it whittled down to about half HP, but clear, and the presence underneath the turret's going to be a bit threatening. As Tucson, if he lands one of those hooks, it could be an all-in.
Hey, it wasn't actually going for the Righteous Glory here on the Maokai. It's been very, very common.
Oh, yeah.
That's kind of been the preferred build recently. It has been Righteous Glory first, but just went for Sunfire, a bit more wave pushing, I guess.
Shockwave
okay,
gets him this time. Yeah, drags him out of the Valkyrie, so he'll get knocked down to about half HP, which means that can't really do anything about this Rift Herald going over. Spirit maybe trying to throw out the Q. We'll toss it in, but it's way too early. Doesn't do any damage, really. So that's just going to be Rift Herald picked up now for Samsung, who are likely just going to all rotate into the mid lane and use that summons to collapse his turret.
Yep, you see the channel come through, no interrupt available, so like you say, Rift Herald will do the dirty work.
And boom, goodbye.
Just have to back away and pressure almost completely one-sidedly to the side of Samsung. Kramer may get an answering turret in the top lane, but really doesn't represent too much, and losing the mid lane turret does force Afreeca onto the back foot.
This is still just getting quite a bit of damage onto the tier 2.
What it means for Baron control also is the big quandary here for Afreeca, as getting down the ward is going to be increasingly difficult. Baron speed from Samsung's not nothing to write home about, but still pretty decent. Play the Ruin King is very helpful from the side of Ruler. Against the run of play, though, Afreeca, with all the top side play, trying to rush down a Drake. It is spotted by Ambition. They don't have Smite here.
Back, yeah. But well, they do now. I'm sure we'll pop him up. It goes low, and Spirit arrives to go ahead and just nom that one away. But now they're going to be looking for the fight. Lockdown coming through with a flag and drag. As Spirit gets dragged over the wall. Dark Passage yet again taking him out to safety. So Tucson may not be landing the death sentences as consistently as he would like, but he is always set up to get his team out of those sticky situations.
And the Nature's Grass is moving too slow. Wasn't able to wrap up anyone. And like you say, good use of the Dark Passage from Tucson. Getting a couple of objectives for Afreeca against the flow of the game. And that's the sort of thing that, sure, it's just 2 Mountain Drakes. It's not any immediate gold. They only have the single turret. But those are objectives that really do ride against the tide. And if Samsung had piled them onto already their bounty of early turrets and early gold, might have meant there was no way back into the game for Afreeca.
But now, double Mountain Drake. I mean, you have to start getting concerned about the Baron potential here for Afreeca.
Setting up for it's so hard, though. They have no control wards in the inventory right now. Basically, they've been dictated to. They're very afraid of both the Stranglethorns and also Jarvan and Maokai turning onto them. So you're right, the speed-wise, they have options there, but map control is pretty much one-sided with Samsung. So actually being able to threaten the Baron is going to be a multi-step process that right now Afreeca aren't set up to do.
Yeah. Trying to knock down that tier 1 in mid. Be a nice start here for Afreeca if they could just get in position for that. The Tristana, I mean, especially now with this double Mountain Drake, will just chunk down these structures very swiftly.
Baron checks the brush, finds the duo lane.
The likes of the Baron, perhaps. That's just going to be the shot coming through there as Kramer tries to knock back Ambition. Flag and drags over the wall, and yet again, Dark Passage will just take him out to safety.
Ambition just spends the whole game looking at Camille's ultimate and feeling sad that, unfortunately, the Cataclysm does very little against Afreeca's comp. Hook goes wide from Tucson. On point with the Dark Passages, like you mentioned, but so far, the death sentences have not been registering.
This is one of the things that I was talking about during the load-in was, how elusive Kramer is going to be able to be. Granted, hasn't, taken part in any kills, or the one kill, rather, that Afreeca has, but still has just been building up his CS, keeping pretty close to Ruler in that regard.
I mean, Kramer, Kuro, Marin, all of them are very elusive. That's why the Cataclysm, when it comes to a solo ultimate, doesn't have the value that when we often saw the top lane Jarvans did. Against the comp from Samsung, Jarvan will look fantastic on Afreeca's side, but with the Samsung comp, it's just another engage tool.
Oh, trying to beat this one out. Chain of Corruption coming down. Shockwave! There's no way to get onto that Dark Passage there for Kuro. He just gets exploded.
Yeah, through Knight's Vow as well, and that means Samsung's probably going to turn onto the Baron. At least Control the area, looking for a pit. They do turn onto it. Marin teleporting in. Surely Afreeca knows what's up, but Spirit's going to be difficult to contest to even get there.
Oh, he's just going to have to flash over into the Krug side of things. Keep himself safe. Nature's Grass coming through
just over the wall to slow them down.
Yeah, just to try to root them in. Does find Tucson not going to get locked up, but the Baron is going down, hook landing in onto Ambition, but he still has the smite, and Baron will be going over to Samsung in 23 minutes.
Really solid setup from Samsung around the Baron. I even love the Nature's Grasp over the wall to stop anyone going for a cheeky flash. Cho'Gath couldn't get into range. Wasn't able to get in. Nice target selection from Samsung on that, and the Baron is about as easy as can be for Samsung Galaxy.
I mean, it would have been a suicide mission as well from Spirit if he could have gotten into the pit, but he was without his flash, so the wraparound would have had to come through there.
I mean, had flash at the start and has, of course, the Feast doing about 1,100 true damage, so a chance of stealing, but what would have been a one-way mission, but it couldn't even be a mission. It had to be aborted far too early, and Samsung, who have had the much better setups in the early game, are profiting off their focus on early power laning in the duo lane, because that was the only lane that was winning on paper with the Zyra harass, and basically every advantage was garnered around Ruler and Core JJ.
Yep. Well, now we'll see how Samsung wants to approach breaking these inner turrets. Mid lane's already been considerably weakened as they try to get Ruler. He goes low, but keeps himself alive. Pops the heal, but it still has the flash.
Had some flashbacks to a couple of games in a row where Ruler was caught and they would lose Baron and thus the game, Samsung Galaxy, but not to be that time.
Yeah, that was multiple times in that series.
It was.
Oh, shockwave through onto Tucson, and Crown just picks up the kill.
Dies to command protect. Nice.
Feels good.
Don't see that killing people very often. Spirit may finish this game 0-0-0, to be clear.
Yeah, so may Kramer. He might just not participate in anything.
Well, I think it's pretty appropriate for Spirit, who's watched lots of things happen. He's been on the screen, but not really able to do anything, given how little control Afreeca have had over this game, especially around the duo lane. Marin, though. Yeah,
looking for the exchange, but the Nature's Grass coming through as QV tries to win the 1v1. He's out of mana, and Marin has the double hop away. He'll keep himself alive, but playing with fire a little bit there with QV.
Would have been pretty inglorious to be solo killed by a Maokai Aznar, but would have been quintessential Afreeca Freecs to see it. Base is broken at 25 minutes. They will also lose in a turret on the bot side, and as you can see, there's very little they can do about it.
I mean, this has basically been the full court press here from Samsung. Have taken down turrets in every single lane now, looking for the inhibitor. Marin pushing forward, gets locked down, and he gets taken out. Core JJ coming up with the kill, 6th of the game for Samsung as they take down this inhibitor just before 26 minutes into this. Looking pretty damn good. Ruler, definitely don't want to pat that way.
Continue to walk up Afreeca. The ball is still zoning them, though. Shockwave back up for Crown. Level 16 as well, and an early game focused item build.
Nice couple hits coming through there with the rockets from Kuro, but it's just a little bit too late, you have to say. Now looking for another one here as Ruler is back to good health. He's got that Blade of the Ruined King. Another double pop-up coming through. Death Sentence down in onto Ambition, but QV's in the front line. Box gets dropped, as does the turret. Flag and drag forward. They find Spirit. He takes quite a bit of damage. Samsung, they're just focused on getting this inhib. Shockwave through, drag Spirit back in as that Death Sentence connects, but there's no way for Afreeca to follow up now. The Cataclysm coming down. Tucson will be locked in. He will be taken out, as you can see Kramer just desperately trying to find a kill, but the bomb pop not going to be enough to take out QV. And Samsung, maybe they just stick around and go for the end of the game.
It's probably too greedy. They have a lot of gold in their purses to spend and then end the game. Looking at the turn and full disengage. Gets CC'd for a while. Sorry, Marin. They will just go and purchase here, Samsung Galaxy. One more push should end the game.
And the other thing is he doesn't even have a ward to TP to try to cut them off.
Nope.
The vision control's been so huge. Oh, here we go. Chain of Corruption down. Kuro, goodbye. Will just get smacked in the face by QV, and Ruler scoops up his 4th kill. 4-0-7, almost at that 100% mark here in this game.
You see some disgusting purchases on the side of Samsung. Death Cap is completed. The Crown, a bloodthirster to go along the Blade of the Ruined King. Ruler just wants to auto-attack forever and never die. The silence to begin this is why we didn't see Wombo engage after QV went in. But Afreeca, from this far behind, with Kramer having no damage potential to champions and not being able to even hit turrets and get value out of the explosive charge, really can't do anything, and Samsung just kills closest target after closest target, gets everything they want, and then exits and gets the bonus kill on Kuro.
Yep. I mean, maybe one more hit there by Kramer would have gotten him his first kill. Onto QV, he was so close, but Crown was there to zone him back with the dissonance. Chunks him down to about half of his HP in one shot, so it's the point of no return here for the Afreeca Freecs. They are down and out of this one, and now it's just a matter of time for Samsung to close things out.
Yep. No way back into this game for Afreeca. The item builds are picture perfect for closing out a game. Double Gargoyle Stone Plate, Death Cap like we mentioned. The ruler can lifesteal off everything to full HP build, and hell, even a Leandri's finished for Core JJ.
Yep.
Can't even imagine what a one-team fight will look like for Afreeca, so just getting ready to ink in 1-0 Samsung Galaxy for Game 1.
Yeah. Seems like Marin was kind of shocked back to the last time this Gnar versus Maokai matchup was so huge because he's got both components of an older Guardian Angel, but won't be able to pick one up at the moment. QV going forward, locks down Marin as he goes into the transformation, but getting into a position to have that massive stun just does not seem likely. Would need to flash in for this one, and Crown just does so much damage with the dissonance. That's going to be the Nexus exposed. Gnar ultimate does come through. It's not going to find anything as he desperately tries to retreat back to the fountain with the rest of his squad. QV going low, is just going to stay alive right at the end of it. The Buster Shot to take him to safety, and in less than 30 minutes, Samsung pick up Game 1.
And Kramer does end 0-0-0 Achilles. Nothing he could do, nothing Spirit could do after Tucson died twice. We bigged up Afreeca's bot lane, but it was actually Samsung's bot lane that dispatched with them easily, went double ranged, also full laning power. They didn't have laning power in other lanes. They need to make the most around Ruler and Core JJ, and boy did they ever. Ambition trading summoners with Tucson got them all their advantages. Ambition spent the rest of the game with a tent next to his strong duo lane, and from there, extra advantage after extra advantage, eventually a Baron. And from there, all Afreeca could do is watch and smile and say, well, you guys outplayed us, at least that time.
Well, there's always Game 2 to try to bounce back. That's a blue side victory here for Samsung, who, they looked clean, they looked concise, they looked surgical here in game number 1. And this is what we, had come to expect from this squad, who was number 1 for quite some time here in the league, have fallen, but maybe they're able to get back to that level of performance. Game 1 is an indication of that.
On their comfort, though, on most of the players, on most of the players on their comfort, they looked great. Maybe moving away from the Varus, the Zyra, some of those other core picks, maybe even just stealing away the Maokai that Afreeca are likely to first pick in Game 2, or change the script. But when the script is standard, when they've practiced it, when the rehearsals we've seen for years now, Samsung Galaxy, like you say, do look surgical, and with a champion select like that, make the most of it.
We'll see what gets pieced together by both of these teams. And we come back for game number 2. We'll see if Samsung can close this out with a 2-0, or if Afreeca will make it a series.